Today I wanted to sit down and chat. It has been a while since we've just done one of these like chit-chatty videos. I do Facebook Lives fairly regularly, and if you're not part of the Marathoner Facebook group, I just wanted to mention something because I got a question about this recently. Someone asked me, I don't have Facebook, or I don't like going on Facebook. Is there any other way to be part of the group? And there are marathoners who have created accounts just so that they could be part of the group, and then they can avoid whatever negativity that they find on Facebook. So I thought I would mention that to you as an option. If you're someone who is finding social media really negative right now, or is struggling with social media, create a new account and just join the Marathoner group. Make sure you do answer the questions, because if it looks like your account is fake, or if you don't answer the questions, 9 times out of 10, I will decline. But if you answer the questions and let me know what's going on, we would love to have you. And that way you can kind of get around it if you find social media negative, which I don't blame you right now. So we're sitting here. I don't think I've ever filmed from this angle before. And it's very hot, so excuse the sound of my air conditioner, but I just cannot bear to turn it off while we film. It's like 35 degrees on a Friday. I seriously considered pouring myself a glass of wine, and now I'm wishing that I had. Anyway, today, speaking of the Facebook group, I'm just gonna talk about some stuff that's been going on in there. I wanted to sit and film this video, and I asked if there was anything that anyone was struggling with, and there was a lot of questions, so I hope I can be of some help today. Things are hard right now. If you want to join the Facebook group, there's a link down below. I hope you're okay. It's September 2020. 2020, that was my question. So let's just get into it. This simply just said anxiety during COVID. That is something that is very common right now. If you're struggling with anxiety, I mean, first of all, know that you're not alone. I think collectively, most of us are at one time or another. If you're finding it unmanageable or spiking, I would definitely have you consider going to talk to your doctor to see if there's anything that you can do to manage your anxiety, whether it's medication or they can refer you to a therapist. Check your health insurance to see if anything is covered. I have been someone who's an advocate for therapy forever, and that's where I would start. Also, be very real with yourself and ask yourself what you're doing for you for self-care. And I don't mean like painting your nails, which by the way, this is the first time I've painted my nails in like, I don't know how long. I mean more self-care, like, am I sleeping well? Am I eating well? Am I exercising? Am I meditating? Am I writing in my journal? Am I being aware of with whom I spend my time? Am I being aware of mindless scrolling? Am I getting out and smelling the fresh air if you're allowed to, depending on where you live? Like all of those things, be really aware, but tell people if you're struggling with anxiety, and just know that you don't have to. It doesn't have to be this way for you. You can do things to help it. It's okay that it's a struggle, because collectively so many of us are having a really hard time, but really check in with yourself and see what you're doing for you. Tell people, talk to your doctor if you have one, seek out therapy if you can, and just remind yourself that like you don't have to go at this alone, and that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can find other people who have suggestions and answers to help you. This one says, I'm normally a very optimistic, happy person, and I'm dealing with some depression and anxiety that is lingering and overwhelming, and no one I know is going through things the same way, so it's really difficult to connect. Definitely can relate to that. And if you'd like to, you could send me a private message and I can post it in the Marathoner group anonymously, so that if someone has gone through what you're going through in the group, they can offer some suggestions and some help. I will say, like, you say like no one else is going through it the way we are, I would challenge that and say someone somewhere has been in your situation and has suggestions. I would also say be kind to yourself. Again, focus on that self-care. When things are really difficult, that's when it becomes like the easiest time to let things slip. Even if it's just going for a walk. I'm not saying you have to spend any money on taking care of yourself, and it doesn't even have to be a lot of time, but I think 2020 is teaching a lot of us that we need to set aside time to take care of ourselves, or we're not going to be of any help to anybody else. And I'm really sorry that you're going through something that is spiking some depression and some anxiety. I'm really proud of you for being aware of it, and I do encourage you to seek out, get some help. There's lots of ways that you can, you know, talk to someone, like texting or over the phone or video chat, like not leaving your house, and reach out. You know, even if someone hasn't been through exactly what you've been through, I hope that you have people in your life who will still lend an ear. You know, one of the best things you can say to someone who's struggling is like, I don't know what to say, but I'm here. I don't know what to do, but I'll sit with you. I can't fix it, but I'm not going anywhere. Like when you're upset, you just want to know that people have your back. And you know, sometimes it's worse if people just try and fix it all the time. Often I've started saying to people like, do you want to vent? Or do you want to like problem solve, and do you want advice? And sometimes you just want to vent, and that's cool. And sometimes you do need actionable advice, and then you can brainstorm those things. So I'm really sorry that you feel alone and you feel like no one else can relate, but I can relate to feeling that way. You know, with Thomas with special needs, I thought no one would ever relate. And when I was a widow, I thought that no one would ever relate. When I had feelings of X, Y, and Z, I always felt like I was alone. And that's a huge lesson, is that you never are. So think about like what makes you happy, or really think about like, what's the issue here, and is there anything that I can do to fix it? Like, I'm not sure what you're going through. If there's anything that you can just like let go of. And sometimes we need to let go of things even when it's really hard. Even if we feel hurt by someone, it's good to just like not hold a grudge and let it go. That's a tangent. I can't give you specific advice, but that's what I would recommend. There's two in here that I'm gonna film completely separate videos on. One that's heartache, because I have a lot to say about that, and two is professional reinvention, and I have a lot to say about that. So those are going to be follow-up sit-down videos, because I could talk about both of those topics at length, and I will. Different ideas for how you can still communicate with people other than in person. The unicorn and I were apart for a month and a half, and we used the House Party app, which was free, and you can like, it's basically FaceTime, but then you can play games with each other. We played Yahtzee over FaceTime. Like, all you need is dice. I have seen people do like wine tastings over Zoom, or cider tastings, or I've seen people do like themed parties, whether it's like a pajama party, or like you pick like some sort of ethnicity of food. Like, we're all making Mexican tonight, and we're gonna like make margaritas, or we're gonna do a tequila tasting or something. Even if you have like a standing Zoom date or a FaceTime date with a friend, one thing I would say is like, try and do a lot of video chatting, because like texting can only get you so far, or even just like talking on the phone is so much better than just texting. I think you could probably just Google like how to have like socially distanced communication with people. You could get a group of friends together. You could have a book club virtually. You could get on, Netflix has something where you can like watch a movie at the same time. You could like work your way through a series together. I myself am working through, which is a very nice way of saying totally binging, Modern Family on Netflix and loving. All kinds of things. I think you can get really creative, and you just have to sort of lean into it and get past the fact that this isn't how it always was. And I think you could have a lot of fun with it. And whatever you come up with, let me know. This one says COVID fatigue. We've all been and will continue to keep our bubble small and take all the necessary precautions, but lately I find myself growing weary with how different things are. Minimal social interactions, not getting to work with my colleague in our shared office, not feeling comfortable going anywhere, etc. Even something like wandering through HomeSense doesn't feel fun anymore. I realize these are small worries compared to those who have been sick or passed away, but they're still things that are having an effect on me. And that's okay. That is okay. It's okay to have this COVID fatigue. It's okay to have this, you know, feeling of, how is this still happening? How is this still our norm? And I don't want you to belittle those feelings like, yeah, it's small potatoes, but it's okay to grieve the fact that going to HomeSense doesn't bring you joy anymore. Like, that's okay. Is there a way that it could? Or is there a way that you could do something else that would bring you joy? Perhaps more walks in nature, or socially distanced picnics with a friend before it gets too cold, or driving and seeing somewhere new in your area, or picking up a new hobby, like something that is going to bring you joy. You know, it's interesting, my friends and I were talking about this the other day. When you're starting to date, instead of focusing on what you don't want, focus on what you do want. Like, I do want my partner to have X, Y, and Z, or do X, Y, and Z. Perhaps that would be a good way to go into the fall, instead of thinking like, oh, I don't find joy in X, Y, and Z anymore. Shifting that focus to, I do find joy in this, or let me try this, or let's do this another way. I think most of us have settled into the idea that this is how it's going to be for a while, and there has been lots of joy, and there has been lots of wonderful things that have come out of it. I know there has also been an inordinate amount of horrific things, and that's putting it mildly, but for your own sake, instead of, you know, and that's okay. It's okay to like longingly wish you could go to HomeSense. Like, could you still go with a friend and socially distance and wear masks and have fun? Or could you rearrange your house a little bit? Or could you, I don't know. I think maybe just try to focus on what could bring you joy or does bring you joy. And then when you do get those moments of fatigue, that's okay. It's okay to feel like, oh, this sucks, because it does. And that's okay. You know, you don't have to be positive about it all the time. There is definitely such a thing as toxic positivity. Feel those feels and allow yourself to, and then think about what does bring you joy. Could you get on like Zoom with a girlfriend and like bake a new recipe together? Or just sit and have coffee or have a glass of wine. I wish this was wine right now. I find myself struggling with anxiety surrounding a possible return to my work office on a rotational basis. I used to enjoy going out, wandering around Costco. Now everything feels like a hurried, frantic mission to get in, get what I need, and get out. I also want to stay informed, but now panic. Oh, I also want to stay informed, but not panic about the daily numbers and new information about COVID. I will say one of the best things that we have done is no longer checking in on the numbers every single day. I'm not sure where you live, but where I live in BC, they release stats every day, every afternoon. And I don't think you need to know every single day what's happened. I have some apps on my phone, so I get alerts if there's COVID in my area. I know what the symptoms are to look out for. I know to behave in a respectful way and socially distance and not hug and, you know, not go places without a mask and make sure I'm 6 feet apart and all the things. So I feel like I have a good handle on how I'm supposed to behave, and for my own mental health and for you as well. I would say it's good to be informed, but you don't need to be informed of all of the little pieces of information. Maybe check it every few days. And again, yeah, it sucks. Like, I miss going to Costco. I miss going to the mall. I miss all of those things. But reminding yourself, like, it's not always going to be this way. There is a lot to be grateful for. And then again, like the last marathoner, just giving yourself some grace and like allowing yourself to feel that way. That's okay. But we need to find some new things that will set us up for success and will help us heading into the fall. You know, like I'm already thinking about what we'll do when things are too cold to be outside, because that's basically all I do right now is like sit and have picnics or a glass of wine 6 feet away from a girlfriend. So we will get through this together, and that's okay. All of these things that you're feeling, like just a big exhale. It's not gonna be forever, and it's okay to feel like it sucks right now. That's okay. I'm more proud of you for behaving in the way in which will help get through this faster. So you're doing a great job. All of you are. I'm struggling with being out of work since March, moving and settling into an apartment, caring for my elderly mom who has Parkinson's and her health is declining. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like 2020, you've been relentless on so many people. I hope you have help. I hope you have people that you're leaning on. It's okay for you to be frustrated and upset and tired and feeling like you don't want to, you know, do any of this. That's totally acceptable, but I hope that you have support. So, you know, if you're caring for someone, an elderly parent, or you know, a special needs child, it's very important that you take care of yourself, and that is not selfish. You are useless to anybody if you also like have burnout or if you don't take care of yourself. And I can feel, I've definitely felt in the month of August, like, oh, that's burnout starting to knock. She's starting to be there. So really like reining myself in. That's why I've been watching a lot of Modern Family and a lot of like going to bed by 8:30 and trying to do what I can, because it is very difficult. So with, you know, taking care of your mom, look to see if there's any Parkinson's groups online, or if there's any respite, any support, like a nurse next door kind of situation. I know, again, that's difficult with COVID, but some people are still doing, you know, programs where you can get help, because there's definitely not enough support for the caregiver. So make sure you're taking care of you as well. Social media is tricky to navigate these days. We're still socially distancing, and it's really difficult to see other people who are going out. You know, I'm not seeing my family and probably won't until next year, trying to find a healthy balance, because I still want to be on social media, but you know, you know, this person says like jealous of all the people who are going here and there. Self high-fiving you, because I feel your pain, both of you. That was like a combo of 2 comments. I think daily I see people who it's really upsetting. One thing to keep in mind is the rules for social behavior are very different depending on where you live, province to country to area of the world. So keeping that in mind. Again, you know, you say that social media is a way for you to stay in contact with people. Could you perhaps be texting or FaceTiming or playing on House Party, which is like a FaceTiming, pretty much the same, instead of going on Facebook or going on Instagram? Be really mindful of who you're following. Be really mindful of how much time you're spending on there, why you're on there, and again, I get the feeling jealous of people who are like doing the things, but it really comes down to like, you do you, which is always so awkward for me to show in a video, but like, you need to do what's best for you and your family and for your health and for what feels best for you, and hope that people will follow suit. I definitely am spending way less time on social media because it is very infuriating to see. But that being said, I don't know who's in your bubble. You could all be in the same bubble, and you could have been in the same bubble the whole time. You could, I don't know. So I think trying to really like rein in the judgment, you have to just do your best. We were doing a Facebook Live recently, and a marathoner said, like, I only need to know my story and I need to be okay with that. And that's really stuck with me. Yes, it's hard when it's like the collective health, but you really need to take care of yourself. And like, being mad at people on Facebook, I'm not sure how much that's gonna like help and solve. You can lead by example. You can show posts of you like wearing your mask and having socially distanced visits with people or whatever. You just need to do what's best for you, and you need to take care of yourself, because it's so difficult. It's so difficult. I think I'm gonna leave it there. There's one more asking about self-limiting beliefs, but that sounds like a great topic for a full video. We're all struggling right now, but you don't have to do it alone. So I'm gonna leave that here. Thanks for watching. If you're still watching to the end of this video, stay tuned for those 3 follow-ups. Thanks for all of your really vulnerable and heartfelt comments and questions in today's video. I'm sorry that we are meeting under such difficult circumstances, but we will persevere. You can always find me in the Facebook group, find me on Instagram, and I will talk to you in the next one. Take care. Bye.